Hello, this is Gene. It's Monday. I want to talk a little bit about Marcus Rashford. I've been watching him the last couple months or so, watching his body language, how he responds to things. I've always had an issue with him. He doesn't track back enough for me. I'm an older guy. I remember how if Giggs lost the ball, he would go back. Beckham would lost the ball, he would come back. He would always come back. They would use the term working his socks off. And you do that for the team. Even if they weren't scoring or something like that, they always got back and defended. Now, people say to me, the game has changed. And I'm like, I think we're a hell of a lot faster than they were back then. Now we hold on to the ball. We look for overloads on both sides and try to do things like that or go over the top. I thought the game was a better game than it was during that time frame. Now, maybe we had the best team, best players, and you have that type of thing. But I'm here. I'm watching the Spurs game, and a game we probably should have won. Um, but after Marcus scored, he did this thing, and I was like, now I don't live in Manchester, but I do follow the team as much as I can in the States. And I'm like, who is he chirping to? Is he going to the media? Is he going to the fans? And I'm like, why? He's been shit this year. I'm like, who is he saying that to? And then fairly soon after that, he decides to go to Belfast to go out for a couple nights. Told the team he'd be there for one night. Ended up going out the next night. Then called back in saying he was ill, so he couldn't train for the FA Cup game. I mean, when players think they're bigger than the club, regardless of what people say he does off the pitch, I think a lot of that is fabricated, like a lot of things when you come to celebrities. So he said that kids that are poor should have meals. Okay, there was already a program in England for that. He got maybe some more funding for it, but it should be good. He said what he had to say. But all the time, I mean, this is a guy that goes out and he's always belanging everywhere. And people say, Gene, it's cultural. And you look at him, well, because he's black, and you're saying because he's black, that's the issue. And okay, I don't know that every black person has to have so much shit on him basically to say he arrives. This is kind of like, is it the same thing when they have their pants down to their knees? Is that another way that's cultural? I don't think it was. I don't think it was like that in the 50s or the 60s. I think that they had it was a different time back then. And people didn't put so much attention on themselves, let's just say. And I get social media and you got to have attention. But this guy has been at Manchester United for at least 10 years now, from the youth team to where he is, longer than that. You would think that had been drummed out of him by other players that were there before. I mean, he was there probably at the end of, not Neville, but certainly the teams, the last time they won the championship with Van Persie, Rooney, Herrera. He wasn't Herrera. He didn't win a championship. David De Gea. You don't see them. Oh, here you go, Gene again. You're talking about white guys, and this is a black guy, and he's doing what he has to do. Okay, that's all fine and dandy, but you have to perform on the pitch. And this chirping to the fans. And then now we have a lot of people online saying, see, the worst toxic fans in the world are Manchester United fans. No, we just want him to play to what the value of his contract is. At some point, you're a man. He's no longer a kid. He's in his late 20s. He's been at the club for a long time. He has to know that he has to do better. And his attitude on the field when he doesn't get his way or the ball's not passed to him, he doesn't track back. He gets a goal and he did what he did. Okay, that's all great. Yeah, they all have done it, Remember, who was it that did that? Maguire did something like that too, to say that he didn't want to hear the complaints and stuff. That's all great, and then, but still, what you do on the pitch should matter. So the question is now, he went and trained this morning, and he had his entourage with him. I don't think they were in the same car with him. They all came in after. This guy he doesn't have the balls to go into Ten Hag's office and say, I fucked up, I won't do it again, do what you got to do, suspend me, fine me, whatever. I shouldn't have done it. I went out there on Wednesday. I don't know why I went out. I'm still stupid. Whatever. At some point you have to be submissive to whatever the punishment is going to be, and you have to understand what you said is wrong. But the problem with Marcus is Marcus does stupid shit when he likes social media's post from Sancho. When he's just he doesn't read the room. So the thing is, we're thinking to ourselves as fans that he is basically the same mindset of Sancho, because we have so much involved with Marcus. He's not going to get hurt. It's not going to looked at as bad as Sancho did, because he's been the team since he was a kid. So we're going to give him some more latitude than he would for Sancho, but apparently he has the same attitude, and people will say it's because he has all this money now. I said I think this all happened with Jesse Lingard and all that stuff. That this was all their thing. They had to always be throwing up them shift. These guys are not looking. They're not good-looking men. They wouldn't attract anybody if they weren't footballers. And so they have to go out and put all this shit on them. I don't know what that is. It's not cultural. It isn't. I'm sorry. This is something to make, look at me, I'm better than everybody else because of this. So when you got guys that are spending half of what they make so they can go to Manchester United games, whether it's where they went to Newport County, or it's at Northern England, or you're going to Czechoslovakia in the Europa League or something, and they're spending so much money to go support his teams, and then he gets all this money, and he doesn't even decide that he's going to get home on time enough, so he'd be rest. He can go out and drink on that Thursday. He could still drink, but leave about 6 o'clock, give himself 12 hours to be ready to play. But he decided no. He thought he was bigger than the team. And in the old days, those players would gone. As great as Beckham was, once there was a distraction, Ferguson got rid of him. And that probably cost us maybe a Champions League or two during that time. Not having Beckham there to provide support and crosses to the forwards probably lost us a chance to win a couple championships. But it was probably the right thing to do. But it's not like that anymore. It is player power, and he's pushing it again. And again, if you're a man, you go in there, you take the criticism, and you move on. You go back home and talk to your boys and say, yeah, it's all bullshit, I won't do what I want to do anyway. But when you're in the room, that's what you should do. You shouldn't have your brother sitting there as your agent and then another person to support you, because what you did was wrong. You had already done it when you did it. And I wasn't really that big of an issue with him when he went out partied after the City game. I think it's a bad look, and I think that he was rightfully called out for it. But it was his birthday and all that shit, and we probably planned it. Whatever, it's sport. It's sport. It shouldn't involve everything in someone's life. He should have his own life. But he got told not to do this shit again, and he did it again. And his form has not been that good. And then he gets a good goal. It looks like he's starting to get back into form, whatever that means. The guy is not world class, never has been. Every now and then he does something individually that's just great, but other areas he's not. He's not a great crosser of the ball. I don't really like the way that we're playing right now, and he comes in, has to come in the middle all the time. They all do the same shit. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think that's a good way we should play. That's tactics. That's a totally different subject. But he definitely deserves something, some fine. And we're hearing 2 week wages. It'll be like £650,000, which is crazy amount of money. And but is that enough? I mean, people want him gone. And some of the biggest guys on YouTube years ago, about 2 years ago, I think Mark Goldbridge wanted him gone. And then he had a good season last year during the year that he was trying to get his new contract. And here we are again. And again, it's not like he hasn't had a whole lot of shots. He's not playing well. And he goes and he dribbles into cul-de-sacs. He doesn't pass the ball. Every now and then he does it. He did one to Rasmus, I think, in the Champions League, and it was beautiful. That's what we want to see from him. These people have to understand, and it happened in the FA Cup tie on Saturday or Sunday. After we got up 2-0, they're like, they want to get their own name on the score sheet. They forget that they're in a team. We'd have got 4 or 5 goals in that first half, and they could have done that after that. So they look at it more of an individual thing than it is as the team, and that's something that's really disturbing when it comes to this team. And he's at that point right now. So many times he would have people open, he doesn't pass it. Now, I mean, even last year when he got 30 goals, he still had that issue. And I'm sitting there watching the game. I was like, pass the ball. Of course, Marcus didn't play, but I'm just asking them to pass the ball early, and they just won't do it. It's like when I watched the football games yesterday. The entire second half, the Ravens had the ball. They only ran it 6 times. And this is a running team. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like they just allowed them to win. If they just would have just ran the ball, they would have won, probably got 2 more touchdowns, and they would have won that game because they shut down Mahomes in the second half. But that's a different video as well. So I'm going to leave it here. What do you think his punishment should be? Do you think the 2-week wages is enough? Do you think he needs to come out and do something? Should he not apologize to the fans, but maybe go and do things with the fans? He is basically the, what's the word? Face of Manchester United, because he did this stuff. They have elevated him to this big, iconic person, almost brand now, that he can't do anything wrong. And you all remember what happened at European champions when they lost to Italy, when he missed the penalty. They tried to say everything that said about him was racist. And it wasn't nobody in England that said anything about it. It was somebody in the Middle East that said it. But anyway, they put him on this, he's basically a martyr now, and you can't say anything about him. Look, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I will never say personally he's a bad man. I don't know the man. But he's on the pitch, he hasn't played well. He hasn't played well probably about at the end of last season and all of the season. And then his body language and how he looks and why, I still. That's just like a slap in the face to fans. We pay for your salaries, everything else. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Tell me what you think his punishment should be, if any. And you guys have a good day, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Bye.